Well, that was a fun evening over in Cleethorpes, wasn't it? As the Mariners came away with a 1-0 win yesterday, and it was nothing short of last gasp. Literally was last gasp. The Mariners 1-0 after a Jay's Kabia um, shot, which just trickled in over the line. We'll go through this during this review, including I'm going to use a couple of sources for this. I'm going to use a few stats from the BBC Sport website and use little bits of the review that's been put on the club's website just to go over a few of the main incidents that happened. But first, obviously going into this game, the Mariners were coming off a disappointing defeat last time out, and it was disappointing. And you're thinking, what are they going to do? They made changes. More changes were made. A lot of the players that finished Saturday. Henry Staunton started, Andy Cook started, Jamie Walker started, and James Kabia started in place of Sellers Fleming. So the first 11 was Jackson Smith, Harvey Rogers, Maldini Kasuri, Cam McJanet and Reece Staunton. Giza David Torrey started just in front of the back four. Dara Burns, Kieran Green, Jamie Walker, Jays Kabia and Andy Cook started up front. And on the bench, it was nice to see. The bench was George McEachran, Justin Malazzo. We'll talk about Justin during the game. Glaucador, Jude Sunsup-Bell, Jude Sunsup-Bell, Jaden Sweeney, Terrell Warren, and a return to the bench for Christy Pym after his injury problems. But at the moment, I think he will find it hard to dislodge Jackson Smith at this moment in time. But if we were to, shall we say, look at the Mariners were really, really dominating in this game. It was one of the most dominant, tight games you could honestly think of. I watched Fleetwood a couple of games ago, a couple of weeks ago, and they looked a decent side. They ended up getting 2-2 that night. Whereas against us, they didn't really pack any punch. Jackson kind of had quite an easy sort of evening, to be honest. But I still say, if we look at it in one sense, I think we've got one of the strongest benches. Players that could come on and make a difference if needed. I think that's one good thing about our team this year, even though we probably are struggling with a few injuries now. I'll get into that just before the end. But the first chance came from a green cross from the right, but it was cleared by Jay Lynch, who claimed it. Claimed a Burns cross as well, which, you're thinking good early start, but then Jackson was caught into action as he cut across from their player Evans, and then Rogers fired off target from distance as Town went forward again. I think that early cross from the Fleetwood player Evans, it was from Ched Evans, of course, is who they're talking about. It would have been one of those crosses that was never really going to trouble Jackson, but obviously they're ones you have to be ready for. But the first chance really of any real creation came from Fleetwood, when Connor Jorge got the Staunton's ball into the box ahead of Cook, and it turned into a second, then a third as the pressure continued. That was us, apologies. And it shows the sort of trouble that Andy Cook brings to us. You know, it's and the delivery of Staunton shows how much pressure that we could put on. Green was at it again. I thought Greeny was his energetic self. Again, another chance came when he won another corner after a great touch off Burns' pass, after Smith's long pass. I think they tried to go route one, but it was a good flick by Burns. But Staunton's delivery, it was a bit too close to their keeper. Cook headed at Lynch after Kabia and Walker had linked up on the left. This was a good move, but a mistake by Lynch, which Cook pounced upon. It was a back pass kind of situation, and Lynch didn't really clear very well. But Cook obviously closed him down, and what a chance that was. Cook pounced on the loose ball, although the keeper recovered well and stopped the midfielder's shot, well, Walker's shot. A low shot by Burns was also blocked in the first half for good strength by Kasuri. Saw him come out on top, and he was shoulder to shoulder with Davis, and literally with their midfielder, and literally just overpowered him, and real solid defending, really strong defending. Rogers headed over not long after that, after a cross from Staunton. It was a cross from Staunton from a free kick. But it just shows you that Fleetwood did end it with a corner just before the half hour. But Kabia was able to win a free kick for Town in that. As you can tell, I'm being reminded of a few things, as well as reading some of the report that the club put up. Town, again, they continue to dominate. They continue to dominate the game. Walker was running things in the middle. My God, was he? He was absolutely the midfield maestro for the night, really. Balling from Torrey at the other end was headed behind for a corner, but the free kick on the right flank, sort of delivery found its way to Burns, but his 20-yard shot was blocked, and Walker's follow-up effort went wide. And you're basically thinking that Kabia and Cook, they were a threat all night, but you can always tell that Jays is not a natural winger, because there was a few times, especially in the first half and beginning of the second, he was going inside. He wasn't staying outside to pick up the ball on the wing a lot of the time. One of the faults of that is that he was coming inside, because his instinct is to be forward towards the goal. And there was a couple of times when you could see that out on the wing is not his natural position. But Cook and Kabia caused trouble again. But Lynch, and to be fair, the Fleetwood defence really did keep the Mountains at bay that first half. Walk ahead over the bar just on 38 minutes, but we're not able to get the goal that was required. In the second half, you're thinking, just keep pushing. And Artel did mention in his post-match about, you got to keep pushing. Chances will come, and we were getting chances. there was really, I think Jackson Smith had probably one of the easiest nights probably he's had in the Grimsby goal. Obviously, we didn't make any changes at the restart, but Fleetwood did have a shot, the first shot of the second half, with Josh Powell's low strike was comfortably stopped by Smith. Although I have to admit, I saw the cross come in and saw the shot. I turned over. I turned to look over at the guy I was sat next to, and he looked in absolute shock, because I think, with how dominant we've been first half, we just weren't able to. We thought we nearly got caught out, but a good bit of defending by Gizzatori next. And Sean Rooney was getting a lot of, he did banter a lot of the Mariners fans. Fleetwood Sean Rooney, I know I said Sean Rooney, but Sean Rooney to receive treatment after the clash of heads in the dugouts, which both were past fit to continue. It was a little bit of a nasty one. Good that all the guys are good, but Fleetwood's House and Neil saw the first yellow of the game, and it was when he brought down Tory on the halfway line. When we started to make a breakaway, it was I think it was a good ball out. I believe it was by Kasuri, and it was a good run. And I think that was sent to take one for the team, which he did. Kasuri followed, though not long after, into notebook with a foul on Mark Helm, before Matt Virtue replaced Neil, and James Norwood came on for Jordan Davis, and as the away side made the first substitution just after the hour. But they didn't really put any pressure. You look at the quality of player that Fleetwood had to come on, they didn't really put us under any real pressure. Powell set in a 20-yard strike to Smith, which he saved, for a battle interception by Mitchell Clark, so him get to a cross by Rogers, and unfortunately Kabia was just not quick enough there. Good pressure by Kabia earned Town a throw-in. Probably one of our weakest parts of our game, I would say, is our throw-in, because we don't have that long throw weapon, and sometimes it can let us down. Not last night as such, but it can let us down. But Staunton did well to create space for a cross. The referee spotted a foul on Rooney and blew for a Fleetwood free kick. Burns did well. He won a free kick on the 72nd minute, and it proved to be his last contribution, as he was replaced by Justin Amalazar, who hasn't been in the team much recently, but I still very do like Justin, and he must have been like, if I get on, I want to be able to do something, and he did, really. Powell was booked for kicking the ball away after conceding the foul. There was also a man in place to head Staunton's delivery away. So, but again, Andy Cook, after that bit of trouble, he hit the post from a narrow angle and showed determination to keep the ball alive, which he did, before Clark became the latest to be booked after a foul on Staunton. Really, Andy Cook could have had a hat-trick last night. He was that much of a troublemaker towards the Fleetwood defence. Town went close on 79 minutes when a sort of play into Cook. Cook sort of did the good hold-up play. He took the from the corner, and it came off Cook in the end. Just flicked off Cook, landed for Malazar, and Malazar at the post. And Kabia won a corner 5 minutes later as the Mariners continued. It was all us in the second half. We basically, we've been knocking on the door almost all half, at least from about 60 minutes. We were just absolutely knocking on the door the whole time. And we, Andy and another one not long after, although both got dealt with quite comfortably. Kabia won a then Judson Bell and McEachran came on for Cook and Tory with 4 minutes to go. Right, I wonder what his idea was. I would imagine it was pace to bring Sunset Bell on. And our song from Fleetwood replaced Evans at the same time as Cook and Tory were replaced. Powell then made a good chance for Crispin McLean, but Helm wasn't able to take the chances, although Helm was subbed for that. 6 minutes of added time was done, and that is where the Mariners were able to break the deadlock. And it was basically Staunton that swung the ball in, and Rogers got the initial header. And actually, I know on the stadium announcer gave it to Harvey Rogers. It's actually been credited to Jace Kabia for his 15th of the season, which is fantastic. And from where I was, I couldn't see who got the final touch. I have seen replays since, and it was Jace Kabia. It was just over the line. I've seen some stills that Fleetwood were adamant that it wasn't, but it was, and I think it was one of the most dominant 1-0s without being without the scoreline being very many. I was a bit, taken aback by, sort of positive with a bit of negative connotation in some of the comments afterwards. 20 shots overall, because we look at the match stats for the game, 61% of the ball the Mariners had to 38.8. We know in general that doesn't really mean much. They had 19 shots in general, 5 on target for the Mariners. We restricted Fleetwood to only 5 and only really 1 shot on target. 53 touches in the opposition box to Fleetwood's 10. Their goalkeeper had to make 4 saves. Jackson only made 1. Aerial duels 39 to 30. Corners 10 to the 1 for Fleetwood. So that sort of tells you just that early part that how dominant in a way Town were. I mean, the passes in general, 369 for the Mariners to 252 for Fleetwood, but they had a better pass accuracy. Well, we had a better pass accuracy by 10% as well, 63.4 to 53.6. Forward passes got that by about 22. Long passes, they had that by 5. And you basically could just tell how dominant Town were. It probably on the night didn't feel, chances-wise, it was that dominant, but it most definitely was. And like I said, I was a little bit disappointed with some of the comments after the game from some of the supporters going 20 shots and yet only 1 goal. As long as you get the 1 goal and the other team doesn't, it doesn't matter whether you win 1-0 or whether you win 6-0. We're in a good place because of our goal difference is quite a strong goal difference, which does help us. Obviously, we had the help of Chesterfield's defeat. But again, it's not always about performance in general. I would take 1-0 wins every day, I would say. It's my favourite scoreline. 1-0 is my favourite scoreline because it hurts the other team. We lost to that on Saturday. And we probably, I liked how Artel said it in his post-match, that we probably didn't play well on Saturday, but probably should have got a point out of it. This time we were definitely far more dominant. Chances, like I said, Andy Cook could have had 2 or 3, but only ended with a 1. But as long as it's 1 and the other team 0, it's you can have 55 shots. As long as one of the shots has gone in and none has gone in from the other side, then at the end of the day, that's what you're going to call on. And it is what it is. And we end up with 3 points. Well deserved, I think. These are important now with the international break looming for the Mariners, as far as I know at the minute. We're the only team that's got, I'm going to say more the following Saturday's game off. Obviously we've got the Cambridge game off as well, but that was a rearranged fixture anyway. Playing Barrow on Saturday, people are going to be looking at Barrow and thinking, if we win that, we could be in a very, very good place going into the international break. I think that's the way that we have to look at things. Is if we can get that level of performance and just be a little bit more clinical in front of goal. Was everything perfect last night? No, not everything was perfect last night. It's never going to be. At the end of the day, we got the result that was required. We got the bounce back. The performance was better. The level of play was far stronger, and I don't have. I think everyone overall is happy, obviously, with Chesterfield's defeat to Oldham, which shows you where Oldham are. They beat us, and then they've gone and beat Chesterfield. I've said that they are playoff contenders. Oldham. They might be a bit behind, but they're definitely playoff contenders. And it shows what they're capable of. They're not conceding many goals, and they've put 3 past a playoff rival, really, which has put us back in 7th. And we're heading now into single figures in games, and we've got some favourable fixtures coming up in the next couple of weeks, even after the international break. We've still got teams like Crawley and that to play, but again, like I said in my my video about the running, you like that kind of running where you're playing teams that are basically playing for something. You'd rather have that where you're playing teams that it still feels like it matters to them, rather than some that might still just be on the beach. Each team that we play mostly during this final run-in is playing for something, whether that be a playoff push, whether that be a relegation battle, whether that be promotion, and we're in that promotion battle ourselves. Definitely the playoff battle, but I did like Artel's point in the post-match saying we don't want to just be going for 7th, 8th, 7th, 8th, 7th, 8th. We want to try and get as many points as we can. There's 27 points left to play for. I'm not going to give a round figure as to how many I think we might need, which I know I mentioned something briefly in the running, but I think we just have to focus one game at a time now. Focus on Barrow coming up at the weekend. Try and get the result there, which is all required, and then we're down to 3 home games remaining in the league season, and if we can get a strong points haul for the remaining games at home, then we're going to be in around it. And I think with the international break looming, hopefully that gets us a couple of players back. Apparently at the end of the game found out that Terrell Fleming had got injured. That's why he wasn't involved. But overall, the lads, you'd say, did a real professional job. It was a frustrating night because fair play to Fleetwood. You can tell why they've been on an 8-game unbeaten run. You can tell why. Difficult to beat, difficult to break down. The football wasn't great. They played better the last time I saw them. But at the end of the day, they've been in and around the mid to top half by being difficult to beat, especially since Matt Lawler took over there. So I think we can say we bounced back. We got the right sort of response. Again, we haven't allowed anything bad to start to linger. We bounced back with another win. That's only 2 losses in. I think it's 2 losses in 15 or 2 losses in 16. And I said that the Mariners mean business, and I think what I like about us now is that whether fans aren't happy with certain situations, teams are having to take Grimsby seriously, and obviously with our wins this season against bigger sides, I can feel the perception of Grimsby Town changing a bit more. Where, hang on, this is a serious team, which is good to actually see. It's going from being little old Grimsby, or we'll just pop over to Cleethorpes, get some fish and chips and watch a football match. It's now, we come to Grimsby, we're gonna have to, they're a serious outfit, and like I said, Artel's proved me wrong over these last couple of years, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But we haven't achieved anything yet in regards to that, but you can see the difference that Artel has made, and I think that kind of calm demeanour and with the way he answers questions, he tries to be as honest as he can. You can tell when he's trying to be as coy as he can that he's not always. He'd like to say more, but can't. He was asked about injuries, and it looks like Ev, obviously with the knee problem, he's now got a knee brace on. Artel did confirm it was going to be about 4 weeks for that. So at least, and then he'll get reassessed. So whether we see him before the end of the season, I think the chances of probably seeing Ev and Chaz might happen depend on playoffs. Chaz, he does expect to see Chaz between now and the end of the season. It's don't know exactly what's wrong, because obviously they haven't made a function. I know people are saying I've heard this and I've heard that. Well, I've heard nothing. So you take through what people have said. I would say that it might be a bit more than we thought. It could be another 2-3 weeks, like Artel actually said in his post match. But he didn't want to give a thing to say, it's 3 weeks, then 3 weeks down the line he hasn't turned up. It might depend on whether we make the playoffs or not, or whether we see Chaz again. But I think last night's performance just shows you what heart this club have got and quality this club have got. Do we miss Chaz? You're always going to miss Chaz. Like I say, he's the best when you're in League 2, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's the reason, going back just slightly, the reason why I'm so annoyed with some of the comments is how many times over the years have we played in a game like that and come out the wrong side of it? Where it's been an ugly game, it's been you've dominated, but it's really been a real ugly game. And the amount of times, especially one game that sticks out in my mind is Southport here in the National League. We absolutely dominated. It was a scrappy game, but we dominated in a similar kind of sense. And they scored late on. So let's just look at it this way and go, okay, we should have scored more, probably could have scored more, but they made it difficult. They weren't there to they were there. If they could nick a point away, they would. And fair play. But we were able to scrape the 1-0, go the other way, and that just shows where we've come as well under Artell and as a club, really, because so many times over the years we've lost games like that. To actually win one late on like that, I'll take that any day of the week, as long as we score more than the opposing team. And it's just pleasing to see. If you were part of the fans that were there last night, not a bad attendance. 5,463 were there. I was expecting a little less than that for some reason. I don't know why, but 5,463. A few people left, but I think that was proof as to why you don't. And I think it's a great result for Grimsby, the type of result we needed to bounce back from the weekend disappointment. Now we move on to next weekend before a little break, and hopefully Barrow, we can put hopefully more goals in, but a similar type of performance against Barrow, and obviously that'll be the return of Danny Rose to Bundle Park for the first time since he left for Barrow. And actually Rosie did score last night for Barrow, so we'll go over that during the preview coming up for Barrow at later on in the week, and also next week during the international break. There will be a video from me in regards to whether the international break should now become a blanket thing. And I'll, that'll be the question in that video. It should an international break now for Football League be a blanket? So should all clubs, if you're in the EFL, and obviously Premier League because you're getting Championship, should it be a blanket thing where there should be no club, professional club football in Leagues 1 and 2 as well? And I'll go into the reasons why I would say that probably should be at least talked about. But it's an interesting debate, so look out for that video. That's coming next week after the Barrow fixtures. That'll come out early next week. But I'll have the preview for you tomorrow or Friday as I record this for Barrow. And like I said, the return of Danny Rose to Bundle Park happens Saturday. In the meantime, guys, leave me your thoughts down below on the game. Was it over the line? I seen it from different angles. It was. Let me know what you thought about the game. Are you pleased now to be back in the playoffs? And have you got your belief back? Because I know some people were very disappointed after losing to Oldham. Now that we've picked up that win over Fleetwood, and well, it just also says. Let me just finish this preview by saying again, it proves that the best fish is haddock. So in the meantime, guys, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys for the Barrow preview later on in the week. Until then, up the Mariners, and once again, I'll say it again, haddock is the far superior fish, and we've proven it twice this season. Until the Barrow preview, I'll see you guys soon. Ta-ra for now. Up the Mariners, yay!